Hey MotoAmerica fans, this is Cam Peterson. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to the MotoAmerica YouTube channel for more coverage. Also like and comment.
You're locked into the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Road Race Championship. Round 8 of 9 for 2021 from New Jersey Motorsports Park. It's MotoAmerica Superbikes at New Jersey. And we are setting the stage for the SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup class. Hello, everyone. I'm Greg White, standing alongside two-time champ Jason Pridmore. And Jason, it's been a two-horse race as we get late in this year, and this championship is super tight. Only 9 points separate the top two.
Yeah, there's a couple things you have to think about if you're Ben Glotty. Right now, he's 3 wins behind Greg on Tyler Scott for this championship. The important thing is if he can get tied with him and wins, then it could go to some sort of tiebreaker if they end up tied in points, as you see here.
Yeah, so obviously Tyler Scott in first, and you can see how many points they have. It's only 9, but it's that 7 wins Jason's talking about. But if you look at it, the last 4 races, they've gone back and forth. First across the board. But it's those 3rd and 4th place finishes that are allowing us to have this super tight gap. All right, a rider who's really fast here is Joseph Lamandry Jr., and our very own Hannah had a chance to catch up with Bazooka Joe.
Greg, last year we saw Joe Lamandry Jr. get his first ever career podium in the STG Junior Cup right here at New Jersey Motorsports Park. Joe, so far for you this season, 2 podiums. What does it mean to you to have the support of your friends and family here at your home track?
Feels really good. I mean, my family isn't here yet, but they are coming. They'll be here for the races, and it just gives me a lot of motivation, and I just want to put out what they put in, just show that I'm working hard and that I really appreciate what they do. So hopefully a win here will mean a lot.
Now, your qualifying times have been great. You've been going fast in practice. What is it going to take for you to get that career first victory?
You know, I mean, we have a good bike. The bike feels really good, and I just keep thinking I can keep getting faster and faster, so hopefully in the race I can be able to latch on to the front, hopefully start leading for a couple laps and cross the finish line first.
Well, best of luck out there. And Greg, we know that this championship is closer than ever as the season winds down. The question is, will Joe Lamandry Jr. shake things up?
Boy, that is the question. And when you look at Benjamin Glotty, who's racing Tyler Scott, who is going to be able to put themselves in between these riders? Can't wait to find out.
As we get ready for the juniors, you and I got about a 1-minute shot each of these 2 times. And you said something to me just a moment ago that's very important. We'll talk about Ben Glotty and the Landers Racing. You said one thing, one key right here that we'd better not see early on.
Tyler Scott getting a good start, and because there's no draft, no long straightaways this first lap, they cannot let him get away, because you know that's what he's going to do. All those races, he tries to always break away, but the draft can kind of keep him in it.
Right.
If he gets a good start, puts his head down, and he can break that draft early on, if his practice times, if it's like what he does in practice, but we've also seen this happen before, and Ben Glotty step up in the race, but it's the same thing they got to do today. They cannot let Tyler get away that first lap.
Yeah, exactly right. And in talking with Tyler Scott, and he had the fastest time yesterday, and he said he had more left in that KTM. The bike's good. It handles well. If he can break that draft, get away from those guys in that first lap, it could be the one race that he could pull away. I think this is the one time that we actually see him try to do that, and he may be successful. We'll talk a little bit more in just a minute about the rest of the field in just a moment. As we send it back over to the guys next door, Ty Scott, Gus Rodeo, and Ben Glotty are going to be on the front row of this one.
Welcome back to New Jersey Motorsports Park. Some of the sights you'll see around this area. A great place to come to watch a race. But Jay, as we await the start of this SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup class, I want to show you some highlights from last time. There's Cody Wyman, the 34, down and out, Jay.
Yeah, when you think about this, this is day 1, and he had what he claimed to be his biggest high side that he's ever had, but that didn't stop him from lining up in race 2, Greg, and knowing what we know now, pretty incredible job. And now the bummer about this is Cody's not going to be with us now for the rest of the year, and he was one of those guys that could get in between the title contenders. I have been in contact with him. He just got off crutches the last couple of days, and I know you know a little something about his injuries.
He raced with a fractured pelvis and a fractured sacrum, and he still got on that bike for race number 2. Unbelievable. Let's get down to Hannah Lopa, who has more on Cody Wyman.
Greg, Cody Wyman currently holds the 3rd spot in the overall championship point standings. With him being unable to continue for the remainder of the races this season, there are 2 riders who could potentially claim that title of 3rd. Gus Rodeo, who's in 4th overall in the point standings, and this is his home track here this weekend, and just 2 points behind him is David Kolstad in 5th. I checked in with both of them to hear their thoughts.
Yeah, it definitely helps. It's my home track this weekend. I'm pretty stoked on that. I have all my family, all my friends here. I know all my points are on this track. I've been here a lot, so I think I have like the upper hand right now on 3rd. But yeah, it's not going to be easy. It never is. I feel like if it's easy, then everyone would do it. So yeah, I'm happy to be here, happy to have everyone here, and I'm just going to push as hard as possible.
Definitely going to take everything I have. Gus is not going to be any slouch. He knows it too. He's going to be fighting just as hard as I am going to be. So it's going to come down the line. I know every race for the rest of this season. So it's going to take everything I got to make sure I'm 100%. So is my bike to be able to keep up with him. And I know it's going to be a dogfight. Not going to be easy at all.
And Jason, here at New Jersey Motorsports Park, we expect a dogfight because this racetrack tends to generate some really close racing, especially in this class.
Yeah, no question. Big drafting down this front straightaway that you'll see here. And it really is because of the lead out of turn 12, fast turn. But they're going to go down into turn 1, probably 3 and 4 wide, Greg. Turns 3, 3B, 3C, you see there, kind of a chicane. It's a very tricky area of the track. Turn 4 into 5, we'll see some action down into that area as well. And then you look over at turn 7, 8, 9. Always gets my attention. A big, long right-hand turn that goes uphill. And on these little bikes, they're going to be trying to carry as much momentum and speed as they can. They're going to run back through turn 10, 11, 11A. And then, like I said, Greg, onto that big, fast straightaway through turn 12.
So a good look at New Jersey Motorsports Park. But who else is going to go fast around here? How about this guy, Joseph Lemandry Jr., Bazooka Joe? He's got 2 podiums in his last 2 races. Can he do it again?
There's a guy trying to win a championship, Ben Galati. He's got 9 points arrears of Ty Scott. He needs a good finish here. If he wins and Scott finishes second or worse, I mean, that's how you do it. You win races, you get the max points, and 5 would be huge today.
Yeah, it would be big, and he definitely needs to, not let a bunch of guys get, if Tyler Scott does win, don't let a bunch of guys get, oh!
That did not just happen. Is that Jack Roach that ran into the back of him? And it looks, oh, no, it was the rear wheel. I thought that might have been fire from it. He's got orange wheels on the Westby Yamaha. And I have we need to watch that and see if Galati just really sets up that much. But, I mean, that came out of nowhere.
Here it is right here. 5th bike in, looks like he was going to.
He just goes underneath him, and Galati doesn't expect somebody to be there. He was in a regular line. I just don't get it. And Galati, good thing he didn't go down. He's coming back from a fractured wrist. I mean, these guys got something to talk about when we come back.
Today's STG Junior Cup coverage is sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. By SportbikeTrackGear.com, the motorcycle apparel and parts specialists. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Warm-up lap incident. Jack Roach down on the racetrack. Made contact with Ben Galati. This is before the race even starts, Jason.
Yeah, this is just the warm-up lap. They're coming down into turn 3. Galati's got somebody right in front of him, and Jack just puts himself to the inside of him. And, oh, man, Jack gets thrown up over the high side off the inside. It looks like Galati saved it. Did Galati save this bike? He's in the grass, isn't he?
Yeah, I think.
Oh,
yeah, Galati's on the grid. He saved it.
Wow.
How about that?
That's going to get your heart rate up, and I'm sure Galati's already looked back over the right backside of his bike to make sure everything is okay. But there's going to be a lot of rubber marks up alongside.
Starting grid,
you can see
Tyler Scott, Gus Rodeo, Ben Galati on the front row.
Lemandry Jr., Kolstad, and Eli Block on row 2. Vandenbroek, Davis, Humphreys, and then we got Jack Roach, who I don't think is going to start. Kayla Yakov and Bickness. Row number 5, Salem, Owen Williams, Crossman. Then we have Esman, Singh, and Ricci.
All right, so let's get this race underway. SportbikeTrackGear.com, Junior Cup race number 1. The drama on the warm-up lap already.
Wow.
But all eyes focused on our pole sitter. Scott has been absolutely ripping this weekend. Gus Rodeo, local favorite here. Here we go. Oh, and Galati got a horrible start. Gus Rodeo got a good initial launch, but it's going to be Ty Scott, the number 70. who shoots himself right to the lead on the Scott Power Sports KTM RC390R.
Yep, and then obviously Gus Rodeo there. Joe Lamandry Jr. jumps right into the back. Also, of that trio, both local guys going to be looking for a win here. Gus had an amazing weekend at some club races here last weekend, so he's got plenty of laps around here on that motorcycle, and let's see if he can turn that into something. We see Max Van has got himself into 4th early, and I'm sure, I mean, gosh, if you're Ben Glotty, you're probably still wondering if everything's going to be okay. Does everything feel normal on the back end of that bike? You can see him there in 5th. So it looked like we had some passes going on a little bit deeper in the field, Greg.
Beautiful day, 79 degrees, track temperature perfect for these Dunlop tires. And Tyler Scott trying to set sail early. We've seen him do this before. Incredible first laps for him, but normally the field will reel him in and keep him in tow.
The big story, though, is Glotty cannot get through on Max Van, and you see that gap. That's exactly what Glotty does not need. He sees his title, literally the guy he's racing for the title right now, just moving away from the field, and Glotty is just a little bit jammed up at the moment. Max Van doing a great job holding on to this 4th place, but the top 3 guys, they've split, and if you lose that draft here at New Jersey coming down that front straightaway, it's really hard to make that back up. So he's going to have to hope that those 3 guys in front of him engage a lot, as Glotty looks like he's trying to get into the draft of Max Van coming onto that front straightaway. He's going to make the pass, but you can see these 3 guys ahead, they're gone. Now Kolstedt just in the background there trying to go up underneath Max Van too, and he's going to make it. So now it's going to be up to Glotty to try to close this gap up to those 3.
From a dead stop, Joe Lamandry Jr., Bazooka Joe at a 1:33.1. Fastest lap of the race so far. And it's Gus Rodeo right now who's got to reel in Scott. Scott taking a look, surveying what's going on as these 3 start to break away. And Jay, looking back at Ben Glotty, it just didn't look like he was comfortable leaning the motorcycle over.
Well, we're going to have to look. I mean, obviously, when you get run into like that before the start of the race, you just don't know if the bike is straight or if it's the same as it was when he got on it. So that's going to be the big issue there. Ty Scott's going to look over his shoulder and think that it might be the 72 on his board. Not sure what his board actually says, if it tells him the number of the rider that's actually behind him. But he'll look back over his shoulder and see that it's not the 72, and that's going to give him some confidence to realize that he's not racing with the guy that's actually challenging him the most for the championship. But he's got 2 very, very hungry local kids that would love nothing better than to get a win here at their home round.
Let's check in with Hannah.
Well, speaking of home round, Tyler Scott does consider this to be his home round, as well as Benjamin Glotty. And as we heard earlier in the show, Joe Lamandry Jr. and Benjamin Glotty, Tyler Scott, all consider this to be their home round, and Gus Rodeo. All of them, it's safe to say, have a lot of laps around this place, but also they were all here last weekend. So Tyler Scott got to test here, and the other 3, Rodeo, Scott, and Glotty, all tested and did the endurance race. So, you know, between all of those things combined, I think it's safe to say that as these laps wind down, we've been seeing close racing all season. We're in for a real heck of a battle here.
Yeah, I mean, we could be in for a heck of a battle if Scott stops running in the 129s. I mean, 129.9.
Wow.
It was only a 1/10 of a second faster on the clock on the lap, but you could see that Scott's really pulling the pin again, trying to get away from Rodeo, leaving these 2 locals, Lamandry Jr. and Rodeo, to duke it out for second spot. There's a lot of laps to go in this one, but Tyler Scott's out front, Jason, now again breaking Sector 1, Sector 2, fastest sector times of the race.
Yeah, he's ready to set a lap even lower in the minute 29 bracket, and these 2 guys are riding as hard as they can, and the problem is they don't want to mess around with each other too much, otherwise that gap will just keep getting bigger. But man, Ty Scott, we've seen him do this a couple times where he can get out front and just pull the pin and go, and that's exactly what it looks like he's done here today so far. I mean, I know we still have a lot of laps left, but right now he's very strong.
Tyler Scott already quicker than qualifying time. He did a 1:30.4, and he just comes across the line at a 1:29.5.
Now Lamandry Jr. goes up underneath Rodeo down into turn 1. We'll see if he has anything. These guys are 30.2, 30.4, and then Ben Glotty's a 31.1. So everybody up front in the 29s, 30s. Glotty's the only one in the 31s, and then kind of the field after that goes into the 32s. So right now, when you look at what's going on, and you can see, look at the drive that Rodeo had out of turn 3C there. he's going to go right and round back around the outside of Lamandry Jr. as they head down towards turn number 5.
The track record was set by Rocco Landers last year in race number 1, a 129.264. That's also the outright circuit record for SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup races. Tyler Scott just 0.3 of a second off that track record.
Yeah, but Greg, it's half a second in the first, and just in the first split alone. Ty Scott opens up half second, then it's almost another half second in the second split. So it is literally maybe going to be a full second quicker this lap than the guys behind him, and you can see he is gone out in the front. And equally, these two have completely split up from Ben Gloddy, who's right around back there on his own. He's got Kolstad 2.5 seconds behind him, but it's a really unusual type of race for us to see Junior Cup races this spread out this early.
And Jay, you know, just thinking about the 72 back off in the distance, Benjamin Gloddy, and how sometimes it takes luck to win championships. It's just bad luck on the warm-up lap that really could have affected what's going on with Ben Gloddy at the moment. Whether that's everything on the bike is fine, but that moment of getting hit going to the line and not having that laser focus, thinking about what you're talking about. Is there something wrong with the bike? How is it feeling? Because Gloddy's getting after it right now. He's not setting the world on fire, but he's definitely going quick. A 131 flat last time by for Ben Gloddy, and his fastest lap of the race, so he's getting quicker.
And that matches the guys in second and third. So maybe it just took him a lap or two, Greg, to just make sure that everything was okay, because to your point, he's now gone 24.6 in the first split, which is his fastest first split of the race. But it's only marginally quicker than the guys that are just up ahead of him. In fact, 24.5 for Rodeo that time. So it's going to be really hard for him to close up on that battle for second and third.
Hannah, what do you know about Benjamin Gloddy's health right now?
Well, as if that collision at the beginning of the race wasn't startling enough to add insult to injury, literally. Gloddy's riding with a broken radius today. He suffered a crash on a super motorbike 2 weeks ago at Loudon, where he lives in New Hampshire. He had a hard cast on, but he did get it off last week. Last weekend, he raced an endurance race here. He did about 46 laps with Rocco Landers as his teammate. He said he was pretty sore from the bumpy surface and that amount of laps. This weekend, it still feels sore, especially when he's wide open, when his wrist is flexed all the way on that throttle. But he can ride through it, and he really wants to try and get this points lead back. He's going to have to ride through it if he has any chance of trying to fight his way to the podium here today.
Oh, great information.
Yeah,
look at
that's a bummer.
Yeah, fighting through it as well. And that was an endurance race on a 400. And how about this? This is the warm-up lap. Our Geico motorcycle save, and you can see Ben Gloddy right here, contact with Jack Roach. Oh man, that's a big save.
Yeah, it's a big save, and we know that the 400s sometimes don't crash very well. They can get bent pretty quickly, and you just don't know if everything's going to be straight on that bike. And it's just a real bummer to see that happen on the warm-up lap. Hope Jack's okay too, obviously, but for Ben, it's really hard because you're getting yourself up for a title fight. You're up for the race, and you're starting on that front row. And like you said, maybe his focus wasn't quite as good as it could have been after that little incident, Greg.
The battle for 5th place, leading the way, number 29, David Kolstad. In the mix, 48, Max Van, number 92, Eli Block, and number 31 is Kayla Yakov. Also, you have 22, Blake Davis. So this is a good one going on here, Jason.
Yeah, they've caught Kolstad, and this is a big battle, as you say. Now, I had the pleasure of getting a chance to talk to Kayla Yakov yesterday, and man, she's been traveling all over the world. Anybody that gets to follow her on Instagram, she's been racing in the R3 Championship overseas. It runs in coordination with World Superbike. So she just got back from Czech Republic as well as Spain. And you can see her there on the 31 trying to get advantage of that triple draft as they go down into turn number 1. And she told me that the level of competition over there is fierce. She says it's just as fierce here. She's getting better and better. She wants to try to get up in those podium battles. But over the course of the weekend, she's just continued to chip away lap time wise. You can see her now just in the back of that group. That won't last long. I'm sure she'll get herself back up there to the front of this group. But a lot of experience gained for her this year, racing all over the world.
A lot of excitement as we watch the battle for 5th in this SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup class. Riders all over the racetrack battling for position. And Jay, in that last draft and pass down the straightaway, it was Yakov who lost out on that one. and it looked like she had an opportunity to slingshot by a few riders, but of course you always got to wonder about the gearing. You know, it's hard to find another 4 riders to draft off of in practice to make sure your gearing is spot on. But Yakov in that kind of 4th spot on the racetrack right now.
Yeah, she
8th
got
overall,
through.
making a nice aggressive move on the brakes.
And you got to remember too, Greg, when you're drafting people, if you have people behind you, they're drafting you as well. So if somebody pulls out of your draft and gets up alongside of you, it can thwart your effort. You know, they might take the position of the place that you want to put your bike once you draft everyone else. So now she's going to be up behind Kolstad here as they come onto that front straightaway. And we'll see if she can take advantage of those 3 riders in front of her. Kolstad gets a really nice run on Blake Davis, but so does Kayla. You can see she gets a nice run as well. She's going to be able to pull up alongside these guys as they go down into turn 1.
So Yakov.
And there it is. She got by all of them. So
good job by Kayla. But Max Van on the SportbikeTrackGear.com Ninja 400 going to sneak up the inside of the 31 Yakov. Yakov on that Barcon Racing Ninja 400 out of Pennsylvania. Hannah, what you got on Kayla?
I talked to her earlier, and she said she's actually been here before, but really limited laps. She felt like she got up to speed quickly. She's really confident in her race pace, and it is showing right now. Overall, the bike's working really well. They made some small changes and really improved suspension and overall feel of the bike. And as you mentioned, you know, she also mentioned to me she's getting steadily faster each session. Her goal for this race was to latch onto this group and shoot for her first top 5 finish.
yeah, well, she's battling for that right now, Hannah. She's doing a good job, as well as everybody else in this group. Max Van, we see Blake Davis is up there. You know, Eli Block also qualified on the first 2 rows. So, and we've seen Kolstad on the podium a bunch this year. So this is a really good group for her to be mixing it up in. And throughout the course of the year, she's been mixing it up with different groups of riders, and she just keeps on finding herself getting with faster and faster people. So the experience and stuff that she's gained across the world, going overseas and things like that, is really starting to pay off. She told me yesterday, she said, the funny part is the 2 racetracks that she lives closest to are the 2 that she's ridden the least, Greg. So she said it was kind of funny. Pittsburgh and here, she's from Pennsylvania, and she said, you know, Pittsburgh and here are the 2 tracks she's ridden the least.
So another big move from Eli Block, the 92 on the team ECB Racing Ninja out of Middlefield, Connecticut. Fanning out. And there's a familiar looking motorcycle up front. That's going to be David Kolstad on the 29 on the Veloce Racing Kawasaki Ninja. We have a mix in this class, a KTM, a bunch of Kawasaki Ninjas, and a couple of Yamaha R3s. This is the battle for 5th place. Tyler Scott out front by 2.8 seconds over Gus Rodeo. He's got Bazooka Joe Lamandry on his tailpipe, and then Ben Gloddy is out in no man's land. 6 seconds behind the leaders and 3 seconds ahead of this battle for 5th. So Yakov in 6th spot. There's a good look at our leader, Tyler Scott, who has slowed his pace down to 31 flats as he's managing this lead. 4.5 laps remain in the SportbikeTrackGear.com race number 1 as Tyler Scott is leading the way, coming across the stripe. 4 laps to go. His lead, 2.7 seconds over this incredible battle between Gus Rodeo and Joseph Lamandry Jr., also known as Bazooka Joe. These 2 riders, as Hannah talked about, calling New Jersey Motorsports Park their home track. They've got 3 seconds ahead of Benjamin Gloddy, our title contender, who's going to lose a heap of points in his bid for the number 1 plate if these 2 stay in 2nd and 3rd spot.
Was it 9 points coming in, Greg?
Correct.
Yeah, it was 9 points. So when you start to look at what he's going to be giving up here, it's going to be another 12 points on top of that. So that's going to be that's a tough day right there, and Ben's going to have to come back tomorrow. But also, you know, the fact that, you know, I just found out obviously that he's riding around with you know, not at 100%. Broken wrist is no joke, and you know, the laps that he did here last weekend, you know, you'd hope that the wrist isn't bothering him too bad, but you never know. He could have jarred it as well, you know, on that warm-up lap incident, and that was a big save on his part. So looking back, he's at 31 flat. He's running the same lap times as these 2 guys here.
Unbelievable.
Just a little bit too far back.
A good battle for 2nd spot, but it Doesn't seem like Bazooka Joe is in the mood to make any moves at this stage of the race. Happy to follow. There's a look at a young Ben Glotty.
Man, he's pushing. He's just
Dude,
pushing.
he is
on.
pushing, but
yeah.
think about breaking your wrist and then going, yeah, all right, the next weekend I'm going to climb on a motorcycle and go endurance racing.
Yeah, no, it's a tough one there, but it would have been, I think that first lap was the one that did him in a little bit. He just wasn't able to go the pace that he needed to go with the leaders, and that's kind of showing itself right now. That last time through, he was actually slower than the two guys in front of him as well, so that gap actually got just a little bit bigger.
So Ben Glotty trying to minimize the damage. He's pushing as hard as he can, but he's just a couple tenths of a second slower than Rodeo and Bazooka Joe Lamandry in front of him. As we notch back to this battle for 5th spot, it's been Eli Block at the front of this group. Kolstedt, Blake Davis on the 22 is now leading the way. Blake Davis on that N2 Racing Yamaha R3. N2, a huge part of New Jersey Motorsports Park program. Huge part of a lot of track day programs on the East Coast. So Davis carrying the flag for N2 and leading this group. Yakov has started to fall off the back ever so slightly as Davis starts to pull away. So a little bit fractured now, these 5 in the battle for that 5th place position. Looking at the lap times too, Jason, it's a variety of lap times. 31, 32s mostly in this group. 32.8s, 32.7s across the board. Yakov last time by a 33.1.
Yeah, she'll try to get back on the back of him, but you're exactly right. This group has splintered itself up a little bit here. But you watch with Kolstedt and Max Van kind of going side by side here and giving each other little nudges, trying to get in that draft. That's going to bring Kayla on that 31 right back into the mix with these boys here as Blake Davis kind of loses any advantage he had coming onto that front straightaway. They were all able to kind of just pull back up on him, head it down in that front straightaway going into turn 1.
It's a great front straightaway here at New Jersey, especially they run onto it. And with someone like Yakov, when you get a 3-rider draft, they're punching a big hole in the air. It allows her to get right back up onto the back. So the battle for 5th. Nobody's had an answer for Davis just yet. But with a lap and a half to go, moves are going to start to be made. Definitely up front between Rodeo and Lamandry Jr.
Well, Blake's done a nice job last lap getting through all this section. So we'll see if he's able to try to pull away any more from Eli Block, who's also done a nice job putting himself back up into this place to really fight for a position. Next time through, these riders are all going to get the white flag. So it really is a matter of positioning yourself well now so that you can try to slingshot and get closer to the front going down into turn 1. As this guy right now, Greg, leading the championship, leading the race, and seeing the white flag.
15-year-old Tyler Scott gets the white flag. A 30.7, so only a second or so off his fastest lap of the race that he set on lap number 3. But he looks very comfortable. A lot of extra speed in the tank for the Pennsylvania native. With a 3.4 second lead over the rest of this field, Jason. Boy, it is going to be really difficult. You know, with these Junior Cup bikes, it's not like you can go back and start crunching data and making big wholesale changes for tomorrow. Not a lot to change on this entry-level class. SportbikeTrackGear.com. Junior Cup. Head down behind the bubble. There's the battle for 2nd spot. What is Bazooka Joe gonna do?
I think he's going to wait and try to just draft at the line. I mean, on these little bikes, it's such a big advantage. You're going to be going through that last corner wide open. So no matter what, he's going to be tucked in the draft. Probably get in that draft early and do whatever he can to try to go past before they get to that start-finish line. You know, you can get there, Greg, pretty easily on these little bikes. Some of the bigger bikes, it's a little harder, even though we've seen guys slingshot and do it. But that battle for second will go to the wires. This guy is just getting through his last few turns. You can see this turn we're talking about. He has a quick look over his shoulder. He's going to come under the bridge, and he's on the front straightaway. He sees the checkered flag.
Race win number 8 on the season for Tyler Scott. He takes the checkered flag and the victory. And that battle for second place will go down to Gus Rodeo, who gets ahead of Joe Lamandry Jr. by 24 thousandths of a second. And as Ben Glotti's taking the checkered flag. The battle for 5th place. Drive onto the straightaway. Into the draft goes Eli Block. They're fanned out all over the place. And oh, Blake Davis gets shuffled back, and it's got to be Block in 5th. Davis in 6th. Yakov with a recovery in 7th. David Kolstedt, Max Van, the top 9. So good job by Eli Block, the number 92. Well timed for him. The cool down lap for race number 1. You can see right part of your screen, your winner, Tyler Scott. Waving to the fans. He's going to make his way back to victory lane. And when we return, we're going to hear from our race winner about how his race went.
All hugs over there at the Scott Power Sports Camp, and Tyler Scott doing exactly what we thought might have happened. You called it, Raj. He was going to try and break that group. They held on for a lap, but after that he was able to pull away and held a considerable advantage of over 3 seconds.
Yeah, after he got up to about a 3-second lead, seems like he just kind of controlled the pace from there and did exactly what he needed to do. You know, when you have the speed all weekend in practice and qualifying than the other guys, you have to, you know, get a good start, check out, and not let anybody else stay in that group, especially when the guy that you're battling for the championship is struggling a little bit and made a good point stay.
I feel bad because we had a little time before we went to the race, and that's when we saw that incident with Jack Roach and Ben Glotti, because I was wanting to mention about Gus Rodeo, because I thought if there was anybody I thought that could give Tyler Scott a run for his money, Gus Rodeo was the guy, especially coming off of those 5 victories last weekend. And he's been fat, and Gus Rodeo did. Again, he didn't get the win like he got earlier this year, but he does get second. This was Ty Scott's race.
Yeah, and I mean, it's pretty much been his weekend. Led almost pretty much every session, and not only just led it, but had a big gap to the guys behind him. And we don't see that a lot in Junior Cup. And, you know, all these guys rode good. Gus Rodeo rode a great race. Joe Lamandry rode a great race. They were only 3 seconds back, so maybe tonight they can make a couple changes, find that little bit that they're missing.
You know, it's about keeping it local. Ty Scott from 2 hours from here in Amos, Pennsylvania. Gus Rodeo on the 96 from Hamilton, New Jersey. It's his home state. And Joe Lamandry Jr. on the 62, Garden City, New York, on the Boss Racing Cyber Safe Solutions JL62 Racing entry. So they're supposed to do well. This is their backyard, and they put their, you know, that just like that Florida State game, that guy comes out there and he puts that stake in the ground. This is their house, and they proved it. They are fast in their house. Unfortunately for Ben Glotti, it was a big points loss today.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, but also kind of lucky for him too, because of what happened on that, you know, that first lap with Jack Roach getting into the back of him going in turn 3.
Yeah.
He could have went down. You know, and really lost a lot of points. At least today, he got to make the race and get 4th.
Hugs all around. And you're right, and you said it, and we even mentioned to the other guys, you know, coming into the back of him like that could have, you know, knocked a wheel either out of balance, could have bent it, because that was some considerable force. I think when they were doing the report on the injury with Glotti and the wrist, I've broken my wrist, and you're talking about only a couple of weeks out and having that jar, especially when you're not expecting it. Boy, that's painful.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, luckily for him, he kept it on 2 wheels. But, yeah, that was a pretty big impact. And like we were talking about, you never know. It could have knocked the wheel out of balance. And just luckily for them, only one of them went down. And for Jack Roach, tomorrow he'll get to, you know, make another start.
KTM was solid, and Ty said he had a little more left in it. You looked at it. What about our time there? We saw the best time of 1:29.56.
Getting close to the track record.
Getting close to that track record, and he wanted to do that, but he must have heard us when he was on the starting line. You said, hey, this is a track that he could pull away. He did just that and takes another victory. Ty Scott with his 8th win on the year and his 12th podium.
Today's Junior Cup race coverage has been sponsored by Geico Motorcycle. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on your car or motorcycle insurance. And by Dunlop, the official tire of the MotoAmerica Championship Series.
Final results with Tyler Scott, 3 seconds over Gus Rodeo. We just don't see this very often in this class, Jason.
you feel you could improve upon for tomorrow's race?
We could do a little bit with the bike and small changes, but the plan was to break away and keep it steady the whole race and not put it down and get good points, and that's what we did. Big thanks to KTM, Arai Helmets, Bob Robbins, Dale Quarterly. My whole family's here now because this is the home race, and everyone for coming out. It was a great race.
Congrats to Tyler Scott, and it's always good to have your family at the racetrack, guys.
Well, for Tyler Scott, the plan was executed perfectly. And the fact that they're going to make some changes to make that bike go even faster is not what the rest of the field wants to hear. Let's get right down to Hannah with our second place finisher.
Second place today goes to Gus Rodeo. It's his second podium this season and his first since your victory at MotoAmerica. Gus, are you happy with this performance overall?
Yeah, it feels good to be back up here. It's been a while since MotoAmerica, but I knew with all my family out here I had to put it on the box at least in one race, but we're going to try and be up here again tomorrow. And off the start, I just pushed as hard as possible, but Tyler broke away, and we're going to work on that for tomorrow.
Congratulations, Gus Rodeo is today's second place finisher.
Yeah, I like to hear that. No frustration in there, just saying I'm looking forward, and we're going to try to figure out how to reel in Tyler Scott. So good race by Gus Rodeo, and way to fight off the advances of Bazooka Joe Lamandry. Let's get right down to Hannah, who has our third place finisher.
And for Joe Lamandry Jr., it is his third podium appearance this season, despite not being with us for the full season. And there must be something to the term home field advantage, because here you are. Can you improve upon this result going into tomorrow's race?
Well, finally, after a long time, I got that start I really wanted, got up to the front, and the bike just worked great. It worked really good, actually, and some improvements we have to make for tomorrow, but I think we figure out I can probably keep up with Tyler and hopefully pull off my first win at my home track in front of my home crowd and everyone. So I just got to thank Boss Racing, CyberSafe Solutions, Heroic Racing Apparel, Arai Helmets, Evolve GT Track Days, and everyone else who's supporting us. I really appreciate it. Well, we really appreciate it, so hopefully we carry this momentum on tomorrow.
Well, congratulations, and guys, it is raining Bazooka bubblegum out here for Bazooka Joe's third place finish.
That's awesome. Boy, if he wins tomorrow, it's going to be mayhem down there, no question. So good race by Bazooka Joe for a third place finish, and he's really stormed on the scene when he's arrived at the racetrack. So our point standings go from 9 points to 21. A shot in the gut for Benjamin Glotty in the points championship as Tyler Scott is starting to pull away with 3 rounds remaining. Well, we'll get after it again one more time here from New Jersey Motorsports Park, and that's going to be coming up. SportbikeTrackGear.com Junior Cup coming at you.